and we're going to move on now to the John Ritter Research Program for Genetic Testing. I know I contacted them right after I had my dissection. Well, not right after. It took me a few months to kind of get my feet on the ground and understand what was going on. But once I understood, I reached out to this program. You leave your name and number and they call you back. And there is a link here. But John Ritter Research is known for their genetic testing. Doctors and scientists have only identified about 20% of the genes that cause aortic aneurysms and acute aortic dissections to be inherited in families. Furthermore, studies are just beginning to look at the role of genetics in patients who have had an aortic dissection but do not have a family history. So that's great that they're looking at that. Diana Milovich, director of the John Ritter Research Program in Aortic and Vascular Diseases with the University of Texas Health Science Center, is an internationally recognized expert in the genetics of aortic and vascular diseases. She is working with a team of clinicians, scientists, and genetic counselors in a number of ongoing research studies. And these research studies aim to learn more about the genes that cause people to have the aortic aneurysms and dissections. Further identification of genes that cause people to have these conditions will increase our ability to identify who's at risk and provide information on how to better diagnose and manage this vascular disease, aortic and vascular disease. If you have been diagnosed with a thoracic aortic aneurysm, and I want to emphasize there with the thoracic, or you have a family member with a thoracic aneurysm or dissection, you could take part of a research study. And to learn more about that, we have left the link there to reach them by email. You can also get to them through the Contact Us on our page. But the genetic counselor will explain the study and review your history and talk to you about the research study that they're doing. But here's the information that you want to know about. What does it look like to participate in this study? And it takes about 30 to 60 minutes. And the first thing is a DNA sample, which you may or may not have already done in a doctor's office, but you just spit in a little jar. It's just a little vial, and you just keep spitting until you get to a line. And then you can also have your blood drawn. They will make arrangements for you to have that done in your doctor's office. Then you will sign a release for medical records so that they can look at your MRIs, your CT scans, your history. Not everybody has to take part. Not everybody in your family has to take part, only the people that are interested. If somebody has passed away, what they're interested in looking at are the medical records. I know my father-in-law had aortic stenosis, and his death certificate says aortic stenosis. And my husband made sure that he kept a copy of all of his records from University of Maryland, so that my husband can be tested correctly, and our children, again, can be tested correctly and know exactly what we're looking for. Obviously, everything will be kept confidential. Your children can participate. Children under the age of 18 will need to give it says assent, but I guess assent to participate. And will you receive the results? What I have found is if they find something that's, if they can identify a gene, they will contact you. If you do not hear from them after you've done all of this, it's because they haven't found anything. They never contacted me back because they didn't find anything. When I had genetic testing through my doctors, it came back and they said they didn't find anything. That doesn't mean there's no genetic connection. It just means at this time, they haven't been able to identify it. So it could or could not be. So you do not have to travel to Houston, which is where they're located. It does not cost you anything to participate. And will you find the gene that's causing the aortic dissections that run in my family? And they might not give you any specific answers, But what they said is we currently know the genes that cause aortic dissections in 20%, or 1 out of 5 families actually know what's happening. This means for the other 80%, or 4 out of 5 families, we're still working on identifying those genes. So you might not get answers, but you could be helping your family in the future by giving them all of this information. So I hope that answered some of your questions about participating in a really important study so that they can gather information. They are kind of the hub for the genetics part of aortic disease.